How you doing, Dawn?
I'm doing fine.
Oh,
It's Dawn Marie.
I know about Don Marie. Good afternoon, folks. You're watching the exceptional Conservative Network TV. I'm your host, David L. Lowry Jr. We started a few minutes early so we can share it around to our different people on Facebook and wherever else that this is being shown on. It's being shown on YouTube. You can catch us there. But you could go directly to TECN television.com and you will be able to see us live from the station. So let me see. Did we get in there yet? Anywhere yet? Yo, bro, we a little live there. And you will be able to see us live. Okay, good. So we're gonna start to share it around to our groups. We got a great show tonight. People need to get on in here and they need to get involved with what we're talking about. We're gonna talk about the election process. We're gonna talk about a bunch of things, just all out Monday. Oh, that's right. This is Monday. The show is going to air every day at 6 o'clock, Monday through Friday. This is our new place. You can find us on TECN Television. That's our new platform. But folks, y'all come on in. We got a great show, and we want people to really check us out, man. We got a lot of good information. We're going to talk about some things that needs to be talked about that nobody else is doing. But right here at TECN Television, we're going to talk about the things that most important to the American people. So that's what this is about. We got a great show coming at you tonight. I got some great guests who are going to be my co-hosts. They're just off the chain, man. My co-hosts are so knowledgeable about a little bit of everything. We all have our strong points, but we got a good show tonight. I think that people are going to start to gravitate to this show, especially from our new platform, TECN Television, the exceptional Conservative Network. That's what that means. And so y'all share it around and y'all come on in and let us get started. We're sharing it around to our groups. We got 5 minutes before we kick it off. And each day that we're going to be here, we're going to have great guests. We're in the process of getting more guests online, but we're going to bring the news to you the way it should be brought to you, right down to earth, the truth, and nothing else matters but the truth. And I think the American people deserve to have the truth told to them, especially after what all we've been through. But folks, y'all share it around. We got a great show. We got some great contents that we're going to be talking about. And we want people really, if you want to call in, the number is 708-288-2001. It's rolling down the bottom of the screen down yonder. And we got about 5 minutes before showtime. Y'all share it around. Y'all get it in. And we're going to make sure that you enjoy the show. Y'all come on in. What's up, Mo? My boy Morris Anderson. What's up, Mo? I see you on there. Y'all share it around to your people now. And this is going to be a great show. I think the information that we give
What's the
out on this
link?
show.
What's the link? So that I can share it.
TECN TV dot com. Let's see. We're going to do something.
All right, because I was looking for it on YouTube.
Look on YouTube. You see it. Go to David Lowry page. Go look at my page. That's what you go.
Yeah, I will
That's what
go
you do.
there.
Yeah, go to my David Lowry page. You should be able to find it. I mean, I'm still sharing it around, and but we'll be ready. We're gonna start this thing, jump it off at 6 o'clock. But it's already going on the station, so y'all come on in as we continue to share it around to our people. Believe me, we got a great show. We got a lot of things to talk about. I just think right now the American people have been bamboozled and swindled and all the rest of the good stuff that means no good to people. But we're going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about this election. We're going to talk about the election process itself. As an American citizen, we have pretty much, I don't know about anybody else, I've lost faith in the voting system. The way that we count votes, the way we tally them, man, it's just not It's not conducive. It's not. It's not. Nothing's fair. Nothing's honest. They're not going to make sure that these elections are honest. Nowhere in this country. No, and we might as well quit believing it and quit thinking that it's going to be honest. There's nothing honest in the country no more. They're lying, cheating, and stealing every few minutes. They're looking for ways to get money. These politicians have really made a mockery of the American people. And that's what we're talking about tonight. So y'all need to gear it up and get in. And we're going to talk about cryptocurrency. Ain't that what you want to talk about there a little bit there, Miss Dawn? Where you at?
A little bit, not a lot. I wanted to encourage the people to check it out for themselves.
Yeah. What's cryptocurrency? It ain't got no backing in
Not
it.
so much just the crypto.
The crypto ain't got no backing on it.
We have to begin to let people know what's going on.
Yeah, we do. We gonna talk on that, man. There you are, back up in the house. But yeah, we started a few minutes early, and we're inviting people. Share it around to you folks so we can get it in. Yep. Great show. We're gonna start in 2 minutes. I'm gonna kick you guys out in a minute.
You're gonna kick us out.
We're gonna
just kick us out.
We're gonna go for it. I'm gonna put y'all in the green room.
We're fancy. We in the green room.
Y'all going to the green room in a few minutes.
Is there any snacks in the green room?
You hungry? I'll send you a commercial of some food, okay?
No, send me a gift card of some food. Red Lobster sounds good.
Girl, I ain't been to Red Lobster in a while. But y'all ready? We got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes before showtime, y'all. We got a great show. So y'all come on in and we're going to get it all started and we're going to get it to going. Okay, I'll take them out of there. There you go. So, folks, y'all share it around. And we got 1 minute before showtime. And I am going to push my cohorts out. And I'm going to lay the groundwork. And we're going to be back up in here in just a minute, folks. So just hang tight. And we're going to get ready. Folks, I'm telling you, we got a great show tonight. And when 6 o'clock arrive on the dot, we're going to drop it in. But, folks, I want you to share it around. We're on our new station, our new platform, TECN Television. That's the exceptional conservative network. So y'all check it out. 1 minute before showtime, and we're going to get this thing off the ground, and we're going to get it rocking. So, there we go. Let's get ready to rumble, y'all. Let's go. It's that time.
Global, universal, and coming from the windy city of Chicago, Illinois. Now it's time to let the truth be told with David Lowry.
Yeah, let's get ready to rumble, y'all. It's Monday night, and we finna get it right. Good morning, Vietnam. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at, and welcome to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. Folks, we got a great show coming at you today, and I want to lay the groundwork, and I want to let folks know that you can find us at TECN TV. That's the Exceptional Conservative Network. You can go to TECN.com. TECN television.com, and you can find us there. That's our new platform. But folks, we got a great show, and we're gonna get started here. First, let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for making it possible for me to be here. And I want to thank all the listeners who tuned in. I want to welcome all the first-time listeners and regular listeners to the show. Like I said, we got a great show, and we finna get it in. The show is starting from now on, from Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock, every day. We're going to put it in. We're going to bring the news to you, and we're going to inform the American people about what's going on, and they should know. Folks, we have been going through a lot of things here in this country, and, you know, if we really take a look at what's done happened to us and what's going on, we have to really look at the elected officials that we have put into office. And we got people in office like Nancy Pelosi, who's been in office for about 100 years. We had Joe Biden, who was so old he could barely walk to the podium, and he's unfit to be the president. He's been in the office for 100 years. We got Maxine Waters. We got all these old politicians like Mike Madigan here. We got all these old politicians who are still in Congress, who are still in the Senate, and they have done nothing to help improve the quality of life for the American citizens. And now it would be something to say that all these people that's been in office over 20 years, that you would think that being in office all this time, that they would have gotten it right, that the American people would be happy with their performances and what they've done to build this country. But that has not happened. It just not. And so when it comes to this country being honest, I just don't see nothing honest in this country anymore. Nothing. Because of all the lying, the cheating, the stealing. We had a pandemic where they lied and cheated. They stole money. They created, all of this was done under the liberal side, I want to say. They stole money. They created wars we didn't have to have. And now things are just totally out of control. They've allowed all sorts of things to happen to this country, and the American people are suffering. So those are one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. And I have to ask the American people this question. Do you honestly think to the American people and patriots across this country, do you honestly think that elections that are held here in this country are honest? Our number is 708-288-2001. If you guys want to call in, if you actually think that elections in this country is honest, then call us in and let us know, because I don't think it is. I don't think nothing's honest in this country anymore. And in saying that, I'm going to bring my co-host in. What's up, my brother?
How you doing?
What's going on, Miss Dawn Marie?
Not much, not much.
So I'm going to put the question to the panel right now. Okay. Dawn, Mr. Binky, do you honestly think that elections in this country are fair and equitable and honest?
Ladies first.
Oh, that's not fair, Steve. That's not fair. You know, once you give me the mic, you might not get it back.
Oh, we gonna get it back, Miss Miller.
You know, look, ladies and gentlemen, here's the deal. For many years, they have lied to us, or they have manipulated us into thinking that we, the people, do not have a voice. And therefore, they have been allowed to do whatever they want to do in the election system. Now, in and of itself, our election system is designed with the Electoral College and everything to be a very fair system. But what happens is, because they have us thinking that our voice doesn't matter, and then they harvest ballots and we do different things with the voter rolls, then it does become an unfair system. It is no lie. There's no reason why we cannot have an ID when it comes to voting, but they don't want us to use an ID because then they could track people. So overall, in the way the system is created, it is a fair system. But when you have people who are corrupt and power hungry, they tend to manipulate it in such a way to steal the power away from the people.
Steve?
Yeah, she's on point there. Government was created to protect the rights of the people. That was their only job. And the Declaration of Independence, it describes everything. And if you don't understand history, if you don't understand the job of government, then this is what you get. You get them doing whatever they want. They ignore you. They build walls up. They create laws. I mean, we've been going through this Hillary Clinton stuff. You know, you sit there in your court order to do something, and then you go out and you destroy the evidence, the very things that were subpoenaed to be brought into court, and she's still running the streets. You got your own. You got the FBI. You got the Federal Bureau of Investigation lying to people. The rule of law is gone. That's what the problem is. The rule of law.
And that's because the people don't understand the rule of law. Most people in this country today, except immigrants, do not know what the Constitution says and what it stands for.
Exactly.
So then what happens is that you get the mainstream media and you get the carpetbaggers, sorry to say, ladies and gentlemen, that are telling you what it says, and you don't read it for yourself because they know that you're too busy, too distracted, trying to take care of your family. They've done a masterful job of distracting us, and we have fallen for it. But we're waking up. And we're going to take it back. We're going to go, wait a minute, why do we need a 2,000-page law that we don't even know what half of it says? And you're burying things in it. And people are finding out later what's going on. So in and of itself, ladies and gentlemen, the system is a fair system, but it's only as fair as you being willing to get out and do your part.
And that's what I'm talking about as well, because even though the system is set up to be a fair system, we got crooked people who are running the system, and that's what makes it dishonest. You know, excuse me, to the American people is that we should be pretty well tired of going through the same systemic type of attitude that politicians have. You know, we pay their salaries, and they walk around and act like that they're some superstars. They act like that they're these big, that when you see us, you're supposed to want our autograph. But in actuality, they work for the American people. And we have to take away that superstar status. In other words, and I want to say it, I believe that politicians should not get a salary. They should not get a salary. They should be put on commission. And the only time... I'm serious. If the politicians were put on commissions, they would enact the laws that would be right for the American people. Because if you're getting a salary and you're making money, you don't care what you put out there. You can put anything out there that you want to put out there. You can force it down the American people's throat with your colleagues, with the lobbyists running around. If we took away the salaries and all the perks that these politicians were getting, they wouldn't stay in office 20 years.
But David, I disagree with you. If you know what, if we don't give them commission, we can do this. We can hold them accountable, but we don't. When the American people begin to hold people accountable to what they're doing, we've seen it in other states where they have done recall elections from politicians that were didn't do what they had said they were going to do and hoodwink them. What the politicians have effectively done is made us feel that we're weak. But when we understand that we, the people, have the ability to fire you every 2 years, every 4 years, we have the ability to fire you. So when we begin to see that what they said that they were going to do, they didn't do, when we begin to see that they are invoking laws that are against the people, and we go, nay, you're fired. And you know how we're going to fire you? We're going to raise up people to take your job. We're going to vote you out.
Okay, let's talk about you. Go ahead, Steve. I know you want to get on that. Jump on that.
Well, Don already exposed the problem to holding them accountable. That's the education of the people knowing it. And that's what they don't want to teach us. They don't teach history in school no more. They don't teach what the proper role of government is. They're too busy keeping us divided between the white and the black and the Latino. They're too busy about putting girls in boys' bathrooms and boys in girls' bathrooms. They're too busy with the media out here only being one-sided instead of both-sided. So that's the problem that we're facing. And
yeah, you're exactly right, Steve.
Go ahead.
You know, let's look at just like I said. Okay,
let's look at critical thinking. Ask the American people why that a bill, when it's passed, needs to be over 2,000 pages. That people don't even know what's in it.
There-
And the
there's
reason
no-
why,
there's
the
no
reason,
critical
go ahead,
thinking.
Steve.
There's no critical thinking is because people are too anxious to call government up and go, I need a law to protect me from this. I don't want to take responsibility.
Yeah, good, Steve. Good, good,
but,
good.
but but you guys know this. You got to know this, that these old politicians, that's like Pelosi, she has done no good for this country, and she's still in office. She got a husband that's a drunk, and every time he go out and get drunk, he get caught by the police. She used her power to throw out DUIs. I mean, it's just a travesty of justice
It
on
is.
how we have let the politicians use and abuse our system for themselves. If
Yeah.
one of us get caught, if they smell alcohol on one of us, that's a DUI. You going to court, you might go to jail. You're gonna spend upward of $10,000 just to try to defend yourself. And we got politicians who family members go out and get drunk. They kill people in cars. They do stuff, and yet they walk away quietly. And to the
When you
American
begin
people,
to educate people, like when you have an attorney, many people, when they have an attorney, if you have an attorney friend, what do? Something doesn't seem right, you call, you get educated, and you realize what? You can't do that. So then what do? You can't do that. So that's why the importance of your show, David, is to begin to educate the American people on the Constitution, educate the American people on their laws and their rights. Why? Because the alphabet people and the racist people and the people in power who want to keep us separated are running around doing what? Oh, my rights, my rights. It only benefits them when it's their right. But when it comes to the people, we're thrown out the window with the bathwater. So
Steve,
as we begin to educate people on the truth of their rights in this country, and they begin to go, wait a minute, that's not correct according to, people are going to begin to stand up.
Hey,
Steve.
Dave, I want to throw an example here out.
Go ahead.
My family, I had 3 generations at a factory. My dad, me, and my son. We used to be able to know that in our family, we could have job security that had good pay, had benefits, had retirement and perks. Try that today. What occupation is there today that can only guarantee somebody 30, 40, 50 years of service, a hellacious retirement, a hellacious health package? What one occupation is there that guarantees that? Take a guess.
I already know
Military.
the government,
And the military.
the government.
Yeah.
The military in this situation, it's part of the government.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the political leaders who are getting money every week. They're getting their paychecks, and yet they're not doing anything that's good for the
Nothing.
American people. And
But
that's
we
the
have to
problem
make
that
them
I'm having.
think.
Yeah,
Exactly. I
but even
agree
though
with you.
Don, this is why I say to the American people, we need term limits. If you
Yes,
have
we do.
not done your job in
Yep.
2 years, then you need to not be in office.
Exactly.
See, that's
Exactly.
what we, as the American people and patriots across this country, that's what we let ourselves get in trouble at, because we allowed the politicians to get in office, and then they started creating laws to protect themselves. And now you start talking about term limits, they start talking about, well, we got a law that says that we can hang out for such and such a time. It is so true that the American people do not understand politics.
That's
They
right.
do not understand how politics works. And the politicians, that's why they go off to college and they get into political science, is because they know in this career, you could come in making what, 80,000 a year, but then when you leave office, you leave a billionaire.
Right.
Because you're going to take money under the table. You're going to let lobbyists push stuff through. All of these loopholes that are in our political system that allow these politicians to be able to get rich off the American people. But yet, to the American people, look at our country. Look at this country. Land of the free, home of the brave. All of that good talk. But look at it. We lag behind in schools. We lag
Yep.
behind in the economy. Everything in this country, we lag behind everybody else. One thing we ain't lagging behind, and that's the debt. we got so much debt in this country that we don't
Yeah.
even own it anymore. And
No.
see, that's why
But people
America,
don't understand that.
but they haven't. That's the problem. It is because the people that we elect in office, they turn against us. Once they get into office, they turn against us. They act like they want to do something good. They might take on a challenge or something that make it seem like that they really care about the American people. But I have to say to the American people, look at the condition we in. That's the proof in the pudding right there. We can talk
I
about
think-
all that stuff about how good this is, and so went over there, and this one did that one, and this one that one. But when you look at your community, and you look at your neighborhoods, and you look at the economy, and you look at the schools, and you look at everything that's in this country, you can see that it has gone to hell in a handbasket. So what is there proud to be an American about when we got all these people in offices destroying the pride, implementing laws like the gay law to distract the straight people? I mean, all of these things are distraction, and the American people are not holding them accountable, and they are going to continue to push this down our throats until we decide enough is enough. And the American people need to stand up. We need to create term limits. We need to get people out of office that are not doing their job. And we need to cut the salary. The salary should not be comparable for them to live comfortable. If they want salaries, then they need to be on a commission basis. When you do something positive that turns out good, that benefit the American people, then you can get some money. But until then, all you need is your per diem and a little expense account and a little money to go in your pocket. But all these $200,000 and $300,000 for these politicians, and they're not doing nothing. They're not doing what the American people tell them to do, but they're doing what they want to do. We need to enact term limits, and the American people, we need to clean house and just get all of them out of office and get new people.
And we have that opportunity with the primary coming up where we can take back the House and the Senate. But I think that what you're saying, David, is on point. And COVID, in all of its pandemic, whatever you want to call it, I think it backfired on them in some cases. And here's why I say that. Because people began to stand up and go, wait, where's that money going? I mean, think about what happened with some of these relief packages where they gave the American people $1,200, $1,400, but they were giving some of these big corporations billions of dollars. They were giving themselves increases in their income. Why do you need an increase, Mr. Senator, Mr. Representative, when the American people are struggling? The other thing we talked about the other day on your show, the GDP. People don't understand that the GDP is made up of small businesses. That's mom and pop stores. Yes. But what they are trying to do is shut that down. So as David is saying, even if we can't change them going on commission now, what we can do right now is fire them. What we can do right now is hold them accountable so that when they start wanting to enact these ungodly, and even if it's not ungodly, if it's not good for the American people, then we need to begin to speak up and shut it down and threaten them with losing their jobs by putting other people up to take them.
Folks, you can call into the show if you want to make a comment. The number is 708-288-2001. Should there be term limits given to these politicians? That's what we're discussing now. And I just think, we have allowed them to create a psychological warfare on us. And that's why these politicians think that we're not psychologically inept to be able to deal with them. They get around here off of our money. They sit around and they figure out ways how to throw stuff at us. And it's like throwing crap on the wall and see what sticks. See, that's their idea of it, is that if they don't say nothing about it, and we'll just keep mashing. We don't care if they know that we passed this law is wrong, but if they don't come out and say that it's wrong, we're gonna keep it like that.
Right.
And,
And then
and
they have the mainstream media on their side, pushing out the messaging and hiding the truth. But we have to begin to use critical thinking and begin to say there's two sides to a story. The truth
always.
on uh, uh, with that bill. It doesn't need to be that difficult. What do you think,
Look,
Steve?
go ahead, Steve.
Don't forget now, during the pandemic, there was essential and non-essential.
Oh, that's good.
Remember that.
Yeah.
We're put in categories. There's the white guy, the black guy, the white woman, the black woman, the essential, the non-essential, the rich, the poor.
The vaccinated, the unvaccinated. I mean, it has.
It's all division. That's all.
It is. It is because we know that if you can keep people divided, they won't talk. They stay against each other. And I think you did, David, double check this. But I think Senator Cruz has put something in on term limits. But then we have to begin to get the right messaging out, because then the left comes in and wants to make it sound like we've done something wrong or bad. We need to bring the truth out for a lot of these bills and what's going on and why we need term limits and why things are bad, because people are not taking the time to read for themselves. They're not taking the time, unfortunately, to really think for themselves, and they have made everybody emotional and hungry for a dollar. The universal basic income, that's what all these stimuluses were for, because they want to get the American people used to getting a check and not having to work.
Steve.
That's what all this is about. Because if they can do that, they will keep them voting Democrat. But people don't understand why it works and how it works, or how the Federal Reserve works. You can talk about that, Steve.
Well, I want to go a little bit on what you just said about term limits. Who approves the term limits? They do.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
See, we don't have no input in this. Here we are, like you said, we should be the ones telling government what they should
And shouldn't do. Yeah.
Yes.
What they can and what they can't do. We put that in writing, and none of them follow it. So now, if we want term limits, they've got to vote on this for them to get. No, that comes to us. That should go on a national ballot.
Right.
When the president and vice president is being elected, it should be gone. That should be part of the ballot.
I think Senator Cruz is trying to do that. And ladies and gentlemen, in the meantime, what you can do, find your senator. Who's your representative? Find their Facebook pages. If they're putting in laws that you don't like, then you need to be let it known, because they watch that. And when they begin to see that their constituents are not happy, then they're going to have to change. So you do have a voice. Email, call, social media, get it out there. Let's go on their pages and let them know. Share it with your friends and let them know. All of these laws and city government meetings, they're all public. Start going on. If you watch it, you can listen to them while you're driving. No longer stay ignorant. You have a responsibility to your children and to yourself as far as the legacy is concerned and the sustainability of our country as we know it.
Go ahead, Steve.
When people fear government, you have tyranny. When government fears the people, you have liberty.
Yep.
And that's how you get it. You put them in fear.
Well,
that's good, Steve. That's good.
This is just like, and folks, we have to really start thinking about the situation that we're in. This is just like the fear of COVID, and to the American people and patriots across this country, we have been made a fool out of with COVID. We was made a fool out of. How is it now all of a sudden after these 2 years, they don't kill people and they don't put a jab out there, and now all of a sudden COVID never got cured, but it's okay. I just saw the CDC said now all the travel restrictions on the yachts, that the boats and all like that, the mask, all of those restrictions are gone now. Okay, so you can get on the boat. If you get COVID, you just got it. In the schools the same way. So my thought to the American people, hold up, brother. My thought to the American, hang on for that, I'm gonna get it. My thought to the American people is this: after you have been beaten, lied to, our money was stolen, our children was upset, our whole world was turned upside down. They made laws for the New World Order into the alphabet people, LGTBFYZ. They did all of these things and they changed the dynamics in America. And they did it without consent of the American people. And so this is true, what we're talking about. And the American people need to really now understand that even if we go to the polls, we still have to worry about the politicians cheating. They cheat. I'm gonna be straight up with you. There is not one election in this country that is done fair and equitable. Not one. So we can forget about all this stuff about, well, oh yeah, the elections is fair. If the elections is fair, then I'm the tooth fairy, okay? We have to look at COVID. Look at all the lies that were stolen. Do you think that these people who lied about all this, who could be held accountable, if the American people found out that all the politicians pulled their money out the stock market and caused it to crash after they invested it into the mass companies and to the pharmaceutical companies who got immunity from killing people? See, these are the things that we have to think about.
But how do we help them, David? With a primary coming up and another election coming, none of these things are going to change overnight. So if there's nothing fair, then how do we encourage the American people to step up and do something?
What we have to do is we have to go to them polls, and we have to be vigilant about being at the polls. And then we have to set up different committees in different places so people can go watch the polls. This whole thing with the elections, if you got in the Democratic states like the states here, you can't even hardly get a Republican ballot. And then let's talk about honesty. There is no DAMN honesty in this country. There's none. Let's look about the previous election. I do believe, and I do know for a fact, that the election was stolen. It was stolen when George Bush stole it from Al Gore. Remember that? Because the machines themselves was faulty. Now, a lot of voters don't know here in Chicago what they mean by the machine. Let me explain to you what it means by the machine here in Chicago. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm an old political person here in Chicago. My family is very astute in politics, the Bardens and the Lowrys. Okay. And my grandmother, who was the second lady ever elected to the City Council of Chicago, she told me about the machine. And the machine has nothing to do with the Democratic Party. The machine has something to do with whoever. This is why they raise a lot of money. See, we got politicians raising money, not to raise money to help the people, but raise money to pay these election officers off for the machines. That's what it means in Chicago. It don't mean that, well, if I raise $1 trillion, what do you need $1 trillion to raise for if you are running an honest election? You don't need all that money. As a matter of fact, you should take some of that money that they wasted in the elections and start using it to help the American people. And that's why I say the American people aren't thinking here. We let them people raise, well, my war chest is $1 billion. So you can run commercials with $1 billion that never talk about helping nobody, but it's all about, well, my opponent did this, and they did that, and they did this. To the American people, how many politicians have you seen that came on with a commercial that said, these are the solutions, we know we have the problems, and this is how I plan to fix it with this? Anybody can get on that.
I do believe that there are politicians that are doing that because it's what people want to hear, and not what they want to hear, but what's being, and they're seeing it, and they're out there. And I'm involved in a couple of a group here in California where I am meeting candidates, and they are talking about that. But again, we still have to hold them accountable. We go and meet them. So when they're having a town hall meeting, everybody that is watching today, you can go on to the elected officials' websites in your state and your community, and you need to go. Let your face be known. So there's probably not going to be a whole lot of people there. Let your face be known. Ask those questions. Know what's going on. As David was saying, begin to read between the lines. So there are people that are out there doing it. There is hope for our country, hope for there to be change, but we need to begin to get in, ask the questions, read between the lines, and not just take face value for whatever these politicians and the mainstream media want to say, because they're filling people with what they want to hear and they're not telling the truth. And if they are, they're only telling half the truth.
Let me get. I couldn't wait till you got through talking. I'm gonna give a perfect example to the American people, right? And I'm gonna call the name. When Trump was in office, gas was $2 and some change, maybe $2.25 a gallon. Okay. Then, when Joe Biden got in office, after the lies he told about we're gonna get the country back on track, gas went up to almost $10 a gallon in some place. And they forced it down our throats saying, well, everybody need to get an electric car. Or because of the war in the Ukraine, that's the reason why gas prices went up. See, we have to pay attention to these lies about why things happen. The gas prices went up because when Joe Biden got into office, they needed to make some money. And so they blamed it on the gas companies. They blamed it on the oil companies. Said, well, the oil companies charging so much money. Gas ain't never been $10 a gallon, but it was made $10 a gallon under the Democratic Party.
And it's also the Democratic Socialists are pushing these things too. There's a strong socialist movement that wanted to shut down the Keystone Pipeline because of where it was located. So there's a lot of things going on in our society, not just the Democratic side, but the Democratic Socialists that are trying to literally strip the American people because they want universal basic income. They want the government to control everything. Government has become God for many of these people, and therefore they want the government to be the provider of all of income, housing, and everything. And if you don't think that that's true, go read their website.
See, tell the American people what the role of government is for, brother.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among those rights are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And to secure those rights, government was instituted their powers by the consent of the people. That's their job. Their job is to protect our rights, to make sure we got what we need to make our life, liberty, and happiness happen.
Well, talk about inalienable, Steve. Explain to the people why that word in the Constitution is so important and eliminate any idea of our country being racist at its founding.
Inalienable means cannot be taken away. We've got natural rights, not rights given to us by government.
Well, God gave us rights. God gave us the right to choose. And this country was built on God. And like I said in other shows, when we actually had that kind of foundation, and people, you have to really look at us today. Look at us over 20 or 30 years ago when God was still in this country, when everybody was saying, God bless you, in God we trust. The country was running, and it was running pretty good, even though we have been separate this whole time. Even though the government had us whites against blacks, blacks against whites, we still had God as the common denominator in this country. And we were able to come to some common ground. But now the American people, we don't have God as a common denominator anymore. And that's because the government has decided to replace God with themselves. And so that's why all of this turmoil is going on amongst the races. It's by the fact that if you keep people divided, you can do anything that you want to do to them. They're too busy fighting each other to really look around on what's going on. Right. And that's what this government has done. That's what has happened in this country, is that the government has kept the people separate. They've lied to us. They've cheated us. they've implemented things to harm us and protect themselves. And so to the American people, this is an opportunity for us, even though this reset looks bad. We went through this whole thing, this whole COVID thing, and now I hope y'all know that it was a bunch of BS. It was. You can't tell me now that if I catch COVID, I still can go around people when you was locking people up and throwing people in the hospital with COVID. So
there were people that were getting sick who did not have COVID, that because those that had the vaccine were shedding, and they were making people who were not sick sick.
Exactly.
And nobody wanted to talk about the shedding, no, at all. And now we're finding, even out of Europe, why that a lot of the vaccines, the whole COVID thing coming out of Europe, they're like going, wait a minute, this isn't right. But people need to understand that people are specifically trying to take down the United States of America. They are trying to take us down, and people don't understand, because we are the only nation that has a constitution the way that we have it, that allows us to have freedoms, allows us to have guns, allows us to speak what we want to say. In many countries, if you say too many things wrong, you're going to jail. Your body might be found missing, but we don't want to talk about that. And that is not something that is false. We remember places that our people get locked up for smoking, and China has an effeminate law. And if you are a man and you walk around being effeminate, it's not going to be good for you. You can't be a homosexual in other countries, but in America, you are free to be, to do, to say whatever you want. And people need to understand that they have to try to take down America, and they are doing it by trying to make us like other countries and throw us under the bus, because we do not understand our own rights. We do not understand what our Constitution says. We do not know how to fight, so we're believing whatever somebody says to us.
Steve?
The Democratic Party has never been American. From day one, even when Thomas Jefferson started to write the Declaration of Independence and they all started coming in to create this country, the Democratic Party, to this day, from the beginning, has always been the party of trying to destroy this country. They tried to expand slavery after Thomas Jefferson died. Thomas Jefferson was a Democrat too. And he was trying to abolish slavery prior to the Declaration.
That's right. That's right.
The Democratic Party tried to expand slavery, and after he died, and that's what created the Republican Party. The Democratic Party, in their own platform, admits they wanted to preserve slavery. They were against the 13th Amendment. They were against the 14th Amendment. They created the KKK. They was against civil rights, and they created welfare. And now look at what they're doing. It's a constant division. They're like you said, they're admitting their Democratic Socialist Party now.
That's exactly.
Exactly. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, did you ever give a thought to why we are considered the United States of America? That means the states come together and they unite. And each state has their own government. That's why a governor is supposed to operate his state. So if your state is not operating right, go back to your governor. It is not the president's responsibility to fund the state unless there's a catastrophic emergency. But people don't understand government and how it is supposed to operate. The Missouri Compromise. Why do we have the Missouri Compromise? Because the states, the founders were trying to keep the states together, so they had to make a compromise. Do not believe that our country is systemically racist from the standpoint of how the founders set up. It may have been a heart issue within the founders at the time, but as they grew, as they became more knowledgeable, they began to let go of this ill, and even Thomas Jefferson wrote about it in many of his memoirs.
You know, and one of the things that I'm thinking too, I'm going to get back to you in a minute, bro. And I want to say this. All this psychological foolishness that this government and the Democratic Party have been using on us, they have been taunting the states. They have been acting as if they control the states. but it's really the states that control the government.
That's right.
Because at any point in time, a state can detach itself from the federal government. They can if Illinois wanted to leave the government alone, all we have to do is say, look, you know what? Y'all keep y'all government money. We'll be a state over here and we'll do our own thing, and we don't need y'all.
California is already trying to have, was it Northern California, or one of them is already trying to put in secession papers to succeed from the federal government.
New Illinois, or I'm sorry, New California.
Yes.
Yeah, and Illinois is doing the same thing.
And so go ahead. Explain to you what they're doing, Steve.
See, New Illinois is kind of a spin-off of New California. If you want, I can get a hold of the spokesperson for New Illinois to come on the show one night. But what I want to go on here, in this country, the ladder of power goes like this: God, the people, state, federal government.
That's right.
God gives us our rights. We created the states and gave them a set of rules called a constitution.
That's right.
The states created the federal government and gave them a constitution with rules. The federal government was given few and defined powers. That's war, peace, trade, treaties, Article 1, Section 8. Anything else is reserved to the states and or the people, which is the 10th Amendment.
That's the reason why I put that out there, was because we the people have to really start looking at how we're allowing the federal government to run our states. See, that's the problem that we're having, is that we gave over our power to the federal government to run the states, when it's really the states that should be running the federal government. The government should be coming to the American people through the states when they want something done. It shouldn't be the government can just say with a big wand, well, we said this how it goes, and all the rest of the states fall in line. That is not how it goes. And see, that's the ideology that the government has used against the state, is to make us think that they're in control of us. They are not in control of us, and we can shut them down to the American people.
And that's why they didn't want
anytime we get ready.
Exactly. That's why people are having a bird about abortion. It was illegal. It was supposed to be a state-run thing. And I hate to say it, but the same. Unfortunately, Obama defied the law as well when he legalized gay marriage across the nation. That was a state issue. And I'm surprised that is not yet set to be overturned. If you want to see people get upset, overturn that one.
Well, that's what we headed. That's what we headed, because, well, the simple fact is that all of these supposed laws that's been created, that's not conducive to the American people. Those are the things we need to be examining closely.
That's right.
Just like when Obama did the same-sex marriage thing. They didn't host any town hall meetings. They didn't come to the American people and say, you know what, we need to vote on same-sex marriage. They did the trickery. This was the trickery. Obama said, well, we want a same-sex union so that if people who same sex say they love each other and one of them happens to die, then we need some type of agreement so that that person can get their supposedly spouse benefits. That's what this was about. This was about money, and it wasn't about no gay legislation. It wasn't about the gays putting the laws into schools. They tricked the American people to think, well, we don't want to victimize the gays, so we might as well let them have this same-sex thing so that they can get the benefits if one of them passed.
But Dave, this didn't have to go through law. All they have to do, just like you and I can do, we can go to a lawyer and have it wrote up and make it a legal document.
That's it.
That's it.
Do a life insurance policy. You have beneficiaries on 401ks.
There you go.
But it was about the money. It was about, look at it like this. When the heterosexual marriages began to decline, where's that money coming from? But now you have same-sex buying rings and going to
Yep.
resorts. And you know what? And I love all people, but let's just keep it real. It is about the money.
It's about the
And
money.
so you always have to follow the money. And when you begin to follow the money, whether it be legislation, whether it be same sex, whether it be abortion, whether it be anything, you follow the money.
And you know what? The gays did this.
An
The
example.
gays took a play out of the playbook for the 1% that run this country. See, that's
Let
what
me-
they did.
Yeah,
They got what the billionaires like Soros and
They
the
attach
Clintons.
themselves to black people. That's what they did.
Yep.
They attach themselves to us.
Yep. And then when they was able to attach themselves to us, they used us in order to get rich. Black Lives Matter got rich off of black people. And now Black Lives Matter is in court. How is it this? I saw an article where Black Lives Matter, who got well over $90 million, close to $1 billion, they got close to $1 billion, and they lied about everything. They lied, they used Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, they destroyed cities and all of that. They gangstered money out the federal government. They made athletes give them money. All of this in that thought that we're helping black people. Black Lives Matter didn't help not one black person. Black Lives Matter has not invested any money back into the black community. All y'all ignorant athletes who went out there and gave them money, LeBron James, all of y'all gave them money, and not one penny was put back into the black community. And so we got made a fool out of again. Black people got used again. They made billions off of us, and they're killing people in Chicago. A 7-year-old boy just got shot in Chicago in the leg, 7 years old. So where's Black Lives Matter? Brothers and sisters are getting killed in Chicago and the major cities to the tune of 60 and 70 people being shot on the weekend. Where is Black Lives Matter? But Black Lives Matter will show up when it's a national case. Right. George Floyd, somebody who was, and I ain't gonna even say it, George Floyd who helped contribute to his own death by being a drug head. Let's keep it real, okay? So then
there's
they
a
got
commercial right now that's on. There's a commercial right now that is changing that whole narrative. And, you know, it's not good that anybody die under any circumstances, but we are now, well, right is wrong is right. And now they're using that as a means to an end to accomplish their goal to shut down, to keep people separate. But they also did it with a lot of the corporations. Again, follow the money. It's not what you see, people. It's a lot of smoke screens. It's a lot of mirrors. It is going to be up to the American people to begin to wake up. Where is the money going? Begin to go. All this money and all of it has to be public record. You can go and check. And as David was saying, ask yourself, with all these Democratic leaders, where is the money? Why? Example, California had a $97 billion surplus. That's billion with a B, ladies and gentlemen. And all they want to do is give the people in California up to $300 for a surplus to help out with gas and food. Yet turn around in San Diego County and want to tax us 4.3 cents for every mile that we drive. Wait a minute. $97 billion surplus, 10 cities of homeless on the street, and you still need more money? And you still want to vote the same way? And you think they care about you because they're giving you a free little measly check?
Man, this is why it is important for us here at the Exceptional Conservative Network to be able to tell the truth. We're not going to get any truth out of ABC, NBC. We're not going to get any truth out of CNN. We're not going to get any truth out of any of those stations because they were recipients of the money. They got paid big time to lie to the American people about COVID. They always in cahoots together. And so we, the American people now, we really have to really open our eyes to what's going on around us. Things are not going to change. They're going to get worse. These politicians with this new world order and the homosexuals with Black Lives Matter. They're trying to normalize their lifestyle. They're trying to put the American people in a place where a man and a woman who is married are second to gay marriage. That's ridiculous. That is not what God put us on this earth for. God put us on this earth to reproduce and populate. 2 men can't have babies and 2 women can't have them. So that abomination lifestyle is something that has taken this country by storm. And we, the American people, who believe in God, who believe in marriage between a man and a woman, should be outraged. Preachers across this country should be outraged. Let me tell you something. And I have to say this to the American people, and listen to me closely. There's a race going on here in the state of Illinois, and it's for Secretary of State. The Secretary of State, Jesse White, has been in office, and he has did an okay job out of all these years. He should have had some term limits too. But the Democratic Party here in the state of Illinois, they don't really have any more young people to raise up. And so what they're doing now is they're recycling old politicians. They're bringing back old politicians who have went to jail, who have helped destroy the state. Now, Alexis Giannoulis was a secretary of was the state treasurer here in the state of Illinois. He had a program called Bright Star, and his family owned a bank here in Chicago. Well, him being the treasurer of the state, their bank was loaning money to mobsters, giving them money like it wasn't nothing. They were taking the taxpayers' money doing it. They was taking the taxpayers' money and investing it out into the open market. There was a program called Bright Star that parents put money into this program for their children's education when they got older. So it started from when they infant up to the age. Well, that program was shot to hell because Alexis Giannoulis, who is running for Secretary of the State, now was the person that stole the money. The bank went under because they took the bank. His parents owned the bank. The bank went under to keep him from going to jail. And he got away with that and all the money he stole, and he disappeared. He fell out of Illinois politics for over 20 years. And now all of a sudden, here he is. He done came back. An old thieving Democrat then came back, and now they're saying, well, we're going to make Alexis the Secretary of the State. Well, I had a friend of mine that called me today, sent me an email. And I'm sending this message out to all the pastors. All you pastors out here, there's going to be on October 13th, there's going to be a meeting for pastors, a luncheon for pastors to come and see Jesse White off as he retired, just to be the last time we see him, because after this is over. But the meeting really is not about Jesse White. It's about this crook, Alexis Giannoulis, who stole money from the American people and caused his parents' bank to go bankrupt because of all his thievery. They're going to try to pass the wand. The Democrats are going to use the pastors and try to pass Jesse White's office over to Giannoulis, who is a known thief. He's a thief. We already know but yet and still, pastors will be going to that event and they will be endorsing this man, and this state is going to hell in a handbasket, and he is going to probably steal more money this time. If he gets to be the Secretary of the State, if he was stupid enough to steal from his own parents' bank, don't you know that he's going to finish destroying this state with J.B. Pritzker, Steve?
Well, you remember when Blago
Yes.
went to prison?
Yep.
And he was on the telephone talking to somebody about supposedly selling Obama's seat, right?
Right.
You remember who was on the other end of that phone?
J.B. Pritzker.
Oh, gee. How come he didn't go to prison? You're talking about a crook assuming a position for Secretary of State. This state is the most corrupt state, criminally wise, of politicians than any other state in the union, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So there's nothing new for a crook to place a crook in another position in government, because that's all this government is. And I believe all but maybe one politician that was criminally charged was Republican.
Well, folks, you know, we getting close to the wall. The clock on the wall said we got to be out here by 7 o'clock. We're on our new platform, folks. We're on TECN TV. That's the Exceptional Conservative Network, and we're getting close. So we got another show coming on after that. So we got to get to our last words. Steve, your last words. This is a great show. We got to keep coming back. We'll be here every day. Tomorrow we'll be here starting 6 o'clock so that we can continue to deliver the message to the American people about what we need to do. Steve, your last words.
Stand up, have your voice heard. Silence is consent. And if you don't agree with it, speak up, speak loud.
All right, my brother, we'll see you. Don, your last words, and we gonna get, man, we got to get it tomorrow.
I'm gonna get it in, though. Let me tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a responsibility to no longer sit behind. You have a responsibility for your children. You have a responsibility to not believe what the powers that be that make more money than most of us do in a week, that are telling us who we need to hate and who we need to like. We don't need to give them that power anymore. Until we can put them on commission or get term limits,
that's right.
Get on those websites, get on those Facebook pages, and let your voice be heard. Let them know, I don't approve of that. You have power in your voice. Go understand the Constitution, your state constitution, and know your rights, and begin to vote based on your values and not your earth suit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Don. We'll see you tomorrow. Great show. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in to our new platform at Tech TV. And you can find us at TECNtelevision.com. You can go from that platform. We still stream live on Facebook. We're streaming live now on YouTube as well. David L. Lowry Jr. page. You can go there. I want to thank the Living and Driving My Black Foundation, who are one of our sponsors. And if you're a sponsor out there, you want to sponsor the show, you can call us at 708-288-2001, and we'll hook you up a commercial on this show, because we do plan to get good numbers. These are my last words. To the American people and patriots across this country, we've already seen how this government and the Democrats and all the Republicans who have now allowed this country to become almost a socialist country. We, the American people right now, this is our country. We don't have to put up with these politicians. We don't have to put up with all the foreign interference that we're getting. What we need to do now from this point is, just like Don said, we have to start holding these politicians accountable. We have to start ringing the phone off the wall at these offices. Remember, they work for the American people. And so now is our time. This midterm here in the state of Illinois and across the country, we already see what the government has done. We already see what the Biden administration has done. Gas is going to be $10 a gallon in the next couple of days. They're sending it back up. All of these things they've done, they caused the problems, and now they're going to try to fix it. They want us to think that they're going to fix this thing before the election. But I have to tell you, they're not going to do anything. They want to trick the American people again. And if they get back in office, if we allow a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House and a Democratic president, this country is gone to hell. So I'm telling the American people, let's get out and let's go to the polls. Let us set up people that can watch the polls, because they're going to try to steal it. Let us get these carpetbag politicians out that call themselves Democrats and Republicans, and let us restore some justice and some equity to the American people and to this country. God bless you. We will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m., 7 Eastern time, right here. TECNtelevision.com. You can catch us on Facebook, YouTube. Check us out. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Have a good evening and peace.